All right, so do you want to start with your name and just in short, in terms of your relevant experience to this discussion for today?
Okay, my name is Dheliwe Zigori, best known as D. That's how I've been known ever since I was young, and I embrace that name. I was born in Zimbabwe, and then I migrated to Australia as a registered nurse. So I came here to work as a nurse because of the need that was here. And but my life has really been around people, around women, around young people, just to work with them, develop, and so that has always been in my background. I worked a lot with church groups, women's groups, young people. So when I came over here, of course, I was coming to work with my young family because I lost my husband, and then I realized, life was not that easy in Zimbabwe. So I decided to move so that at least I could maybe make it with my kids, to make sure that they've got education. And then as soon as I landed here, I knew at one point I want to be a counselor, because I realized a lot of gaps that were in my own journey that I thought, who's going to answer? Who's going to give answers to some of these questions? And in searching, I realized I think that was the direction I was going to take. So I then worked and then studied as a counselor with the hope that one day I will then change the balance.
Okay. You said you lost a husband. At what age were you at?
I was actually 35. I was 35, and I was, at a time when I was thinking life is now moving. And I had 4 kids by then. So my youngest was only 1 year and some months. Yeah. And then my husband went to the UK. There was economic upheavals in my country. So he decided to go for greener pastures, and he went there, did not leave it. So he came back home, 5 days, he was gone. So I was left with 4 kids, and I tried, to make things work in Zimbabwe, but life was just tough. Mm-hmm. So then I decided, okay, maybe it's time to move.
How did you process the trauma when your husband died and you left 4 kids?
That's a good question. Yeah, there is a lot that happens around that space, especially culturally, because where I'm coming from, people they lose their loved ones, but we have a lot of support as well, family support, church support. People come and gather. So you are not alone in those days, the immediate days after someone dies. You're usually not alone. People come and gather. And then with time, they disperse. They have to go and do their own things. So I am a very strong Christian. So that really helped me, because I'm a singer. So I would sing to myself. And I would go to places where I could get that, because that means a lot to me. And it really helped me. I sat in teachings where I identified, who am I here? I'm the one who needs a teaching of how to move forward with this journey. And I had to subject myself to some teaching of how to handle myself, how to handle my own children, how to mentor them, and how to be a mother and a father to them at the same time. And so that helped me a lot in my journey. But there is also some dark space in that area, because many times you're expected to move. There's a statement, I was talking to my supervisor, and I was saying, usually people just say, move on, you've got to move on. But then there's nothing like that, because I've got a big hump in front of me. How do I move on? But I've learned over the years to take ownership of whatever is mine, be it pain, be it things that I don't understand. Look for information and try and be that person that goes out there to say, I have a problem. So speak out and learn from the people that can feed into you. Some people have got full cups, so draw from them.
Beautiful. Do you want to talk to us in terms of your religion and if you could combine that with your singing?
Oh, okay. Singing has been, I suppose when I was still young, you know, I would go to church with mom. My father was a singer, my mom was a singer. They used to lead choirs actually. But then when I became a Christian, like having a real Christian, like knowledge of who that means and who that is and what that means, I then studied the Bible. So I was part of a choir, but then I desired to also sing. And so I started writing songs when I was about in Form 1, kind of year 6 or year 7 age. I started writing songs. Of course, they were very immature, but that's when I started singing. So that has helped because what I believe is what I write, and that's what I sing about. So I don't have to borrow any beliefs from anywhere. I just sing me, and I just become me. And I've realized that that ministers to people more because I'm talking my own story, my own experience through song.
Mm-hmm. Your transition from Zimbabwe to here, do you want to share one or two things in there?
That one was big. That one was big because, you know, when you are preparing to go to the West, you're coming from Zimbabwe, it's like, oh, wow, I'm going to Australia. Everyone thinks you are really going to the world with milk and honey, which is so. But the separation that you have with the original things that you've always had, the relationships, they might be very small, they might be sometimes meaningless in your day-to-day living. It then brings a big loss to you. So when I came over, I used to talk to my friends, I'm going to keep in touch with everyone. I want to keep in touch with you, everyone, my relatives. But then I realized it was not practical because when I came here, my children needed me and they needed me even more because here you come back home, we've got maids who will be helping out in the house. Here, nothing like that. So you've got to be watching everything that they are doing. So you start feeling that loss that you have. And many people think maybe I would talk about just the loss of my loved ones, but that's a big loss when you lose the fundamentals of life, the basics of life, the things that you do every day, the meals that you cook every day, you're used to them, the shops that you walk to every day with your eyes closed, and you have to use a train that I never used before. So it was a big change. But then in that change, it brought a lot of new things as well that we had to embrace. So the change itself, there was a big loss. There was things that sometimes I still miss up to this day, but I've learned a lot of new skills as well. A lot of new friends, a lot of new communications that I have to learn to do. And so we are still moving.
Okay, do you want to talk to the audience in terms of you being a mom here, but like a single mother with 4 children in Australia?
Yes. So that one was, yes, I came to Australia maybe 4 years after, after starting the journey as a single mom. So I had a lot of support, my brothers, my sisters-in-law supported me back home, my own mom and dad. But when I came over here, I actually lost my mom and dad in the following year that I came. So where am I going? What is happening? But then as a single mom in Australia, one thing that I learned is to throw away a lot of wings that you will have grown as you grow, to be able to say, okay, who am I? Who are these children? What are their daily needs? Of course, that was a bit of a very big emotional change for me as well. But I've had to listen, to learn to listen to what they are saying, to listen not just with my ears, but with my eyes, to listen with the whole person that I am. What's happening to this girl? What's happening to this boy? They go to school. The accent, they can't understand anything that's being said at school. But I'm expecting them to perform, because that's how I've learned. This is the life that we've lived. When you go to school, we are very academic. You must perform. But then when you then realize, oh, I actually have to step back. Recently, my daughter was telling me that in the first year, I didn't hear anything that the teachers were saying. So she should be given homework. She doesn't do it. Not because she doesn't want. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't hear. She didn't hear what the teacher even said. So I've actually then had to sit down with myself to say I could develop a very big health problem, high blood pressure from stress and everything, or I can step down a little bit and live with what is there. You know, cleaning the house. I used to be very pedantic. I would come from work at 11, I'm on my Hoover, I'm cleaning, I'm mopping the floor, until I realized that maybe sometimes it's not doable. Find ways of doing those things. Being a mom, so I've had also to learn morals. Yeah, how to live just as a single mom. You don't have to have things that you don't have. You know, or to wish for things that are not there. If you don't have a husband, if you don't have a man there, you don't always have to be running around looking for them. Focus on what you're doing, and one day maybe things will change. So I've walked a journey that I know there are tough things, but there are also easy things that you can map out.
In a few words, do you want to tell us what was the moment that made you think you want to be a counselor?
Okay. I looked at refugees mainly because I would go to work, and sometimes you're working with, I'm a nurse, so you meet all sorts of people in there. So my breaking point was really when I saw a woman who's coming. Of course, I didn't know their background, but I could tell there's something that is not being said about this life. And then in talking to those people, you can then realize that they have a lot of things in their heart, but they feel they are not worth saying them to anyone. So they would rather live a hard life, struggle, and just move on and try to catch up with everyone else. Then I realized there's a lot of things that can actually be talked about. And sometimes people just need someone to listen. So then I realized that my own life, I've had that. Maybe I've managed to push through things, but some people will not. So how about having a group? How about calling people so that we can talk about our experiences? What is happening to you? Just a little bit of a 10. What's happening to you? Are you okay? And then usually once you build those relationships, people start talking.
2 things that made your head above the water during all these challenges you've been going through. Just 2 things.
Say that again.
Just 2 things that made you to be, head above the water. You're surviving across all these challenges.
My beliefs, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, my beliefs. They made me strong.
Okay.
And also having people around me who I don't have to explain what I'm doing, why I'm doing what I'm doing, but they're just there to relate with me regardless of whether I'm doing well or not.
Okay. Thank you very much.